Hey there, Heather Ho. There's Jeff Cutter Diamond welcoming you to my final video specifically for the 20th anniversary of Time Stand Still, the retrospective, on October the 12th, 2024, which, of course, is the 20th anniversary of the Canadian airing of Time Stand Still Part 2, the episode that went there. I have with me my new official mascot for the thing. This is Smokey. This is a 16-month-old black, Russian blue. So Smokey has been basically purring in most of my videos for Cutter Historical, so you'll see her face and all that. She is nothing more but a nuisance around the house. She even spilled one of my water bottles when I was doing a out of the park baseball tournament, and I had to, clean it up in real life. So this troublemaker. So she's basically been a source of inspiration for my videos and all that. So she's been a pretty kid, as she always is. Oh, pretty dumb. There we go. All right, see what she's up to. But anyway, just wanted to put it up there because she was sleeping around. She was on my floor, and I'm like, I might as well put her in a video. Anyway, so the videos that you have seen in the past, I'll give you a brief rundown. I talked about the 12 Rick Murray videos I made to understand everything, like the playlist, and of course, the playlist is in that video of the 12 videos. I talked about the top 15 villains to do with the Rick Murray storyline. Like I did top 10 in 2023, but I've changed it to top 15 in 2024. So I had 5 more villains, if you will, quote unquote. I did a who deserves more flack, less flack, same flack in the Rick storyline. Like characters who deserve more flack for their role in the Rick situation, less flack, and the same amount of flack. I also did the top 10 episodes of the Rick Murray storyline. I talked about the episodes and their main storylines and how it relates to the Rick Murray situation. Like Reddit put it from 10 to 1. The top 10 Rick Murray storyline unpopular opinions 2024 version. I know I did a poll, I think last year about it, but yeah, the storyline, all my Cutter Degrassi unpopular opinions that were Rick Murray storyline based and all that, I just said, well, what was probably the best, the most believable, and of course that was wrecked by the fact that Degrassi Reddit decided to get some new mods and ruined my voting. Talked about ranking YouTubers' thoughts on Time Stand Still, specifically like 6 people on how their thoughts about Time Stand Still, like unusually Eric, Bree Breezy, that kid, Leroy, I can't remember his real name, myself, Vamp, well, not a vampire, and unusually Eric. Like, all that. And then I also did the top 15 Rick Murray storyline characters topic sentences. Like, I gave a topic sentence on a character and explained why I give that person a topic sentence. So that's how we've got it so far. And now the final video is the top 10 things that have grinded my gears, or in real speak, that pissed me off about the Rick Murray storyline and all that. And I decided to kind of level down to the newer culture and basically do it from like levels. So what happened is I ranked them from 1 to 10, 1 being the most calm-inducing one, to 10 being the most those that pissed me off. And I also did levels on practically level whatever of that, because I've seen people saying clips from level 1 to 100. But anyway, okay, so on the bottom, I call it level 10, is Terry being blackholed. Terry was a great character. CTV didn't know what they got till it's gone. Terry was a great person. Yes, she was shy and self-hating because of her being plus-sized and all that. But she was a plus-sized mom and got money and waved her check in front of an ice cream vendor in season 2. And then, season 3, she got the storyline with Rick and all that, and her insecurities made her stay with Rick despite everyone's warnings and all that. And then, of course, Terry getting put in that coma by Rick, and then season 4, not one scene with her, and really not much mention about her and all that. Like, you know, we got that stupid deleted scene about Raditch saying that Terry's at private school, can't talk about her matters. They talk about killing off Terry in a sense. With a deleted scene? Fuck. But seriously, compared to the other 9, you'll be understanding why it's a low level. But the fact of the matter is, what would Terry have thought about Rick being harassed and abused and all that shit? And it also is hitting me on a personal level because Christina Schmidt, aka Terry McGregor, actually went to Waterloo Oxford High School in Baden, Ontario, Canada. I have to say Canada because I know there's some American viewers. And guess who else graduated from Waterloo Oxford in Baden, Ontario? That's this guy. That's right. I'm a class of 2003 boy. Christina Schmidt, I think, was a class of 2007 or 2005. I can't remember. Sorry, I'm battling a cough congestion. But the fact of the matter is that, yeah, Terry deserved better. Okay, so number 2 at level 15, I call it, is the subplot, 2 Times Dead Still. Excuse me. The fact of the matter is, any subplot to do with the Rick Murray situation, with Time Stand Still, is going to suffer. But this one actually was a key one. A lot of people don't know the key points to the subplot. The subplot in Time Stand Still, part 1 and 2, was that Joey was trying to sell his house. Craig ended up being sick one day and staying home from school, and then he manages to call Cindy, Joey's ex, who's a realtor, and tries to help Joey out. Joey doesn't appreciate the help, and then Craig decides to go to school sick, despite not wanting to be with Joey. Joey then realizes that Craig was just trying to help the situation. And then Caitlin comes back from Africa, sees Joey's house on the market, and decides to buy Joey's house to probably try to get back with Joey. So, the fact of the matter was that, you know, that was huge and all that. And it did tie in because, you know, Craig, if he was not so pissed off with Joey, then he would have not been at school and would not have been the first one to see Jimmy's sprawled out body when Rick shot him. So, yeah, the subplot was going to suffer and all that. And, you know, it tied in with Caitlin being a reporter and having to deal with the school shooting, and also Rachel, the nosy reporter. That kind of also would have pissed me off about Rachel being so nosy and all that. Third on the list, and a level 40, is Hatzalakos' statement in Eye of the Tiger. Now, Eye of the Tiger was the episode in which Spitter, after Jimmy comes back to school, decides to finally come clean to Jimmy about what happened in the bathroom and what led to Jimmy being shot by Rick. Jimmy, of course, freezes him, and the school freezes him. Spitter tries to reconcile with Jimmy, but Jimmy then basically tells him that you didn't have to tell me these things. You only needed to get rid of your guilt and all that. And Spitter, after realizing he's lost his friends, decides to tell Hatzalakos everything and implicate Jay, rightfully so, about the things, about the paint and feathers and a lot of things. But Hatzalakos makes a statement when she talks to Spitter about his expulsion. She says, a boy is in a grave and a boy is in a wheelchair because of your stupid actions. Like, okay, Jimmy being in the wheelchair, I can understand. But she's blaming Spitter for Rick dying? Rick could have been alive if it was Rick who shot Sean in the stomach or the gun excuse me, didn't go off. Then Rick would have been alive. And as I said in Unpopular Opinion, Rick being alive would have actually done more damage to certain characters and the school for that matter than all that. Rick dying was pretty good. But the fact of the matter is she's blaming him for Rick being dead? Like, Rick's the psycho who died. I kind of think Hatzalakos had to be harsh with Spitter because of the zero tolerance policy. It's like, where's the zero tolerance policy in Degrassi? And also, I think she was just trying to appease the school board who put the zero tolerance policy on Degrassi, I think, as punishment for the students going overboard with Rick. Yeah, that just didn't. That just doesn't work. Okay, so number 4, and at level 50, I call it level 50, is Emma's downfall. You know, and being shunned and all that. Now, Emma did the Orange Ribbon campaign to try to get in Paige's clique. Everyone knows that. What people don't know is that Emma may have done the Orange Ribbon campaign to stick it to Liberty and Manny for breaking off with her as friends. Emma deserved to get shunned by those two because of what her actions towards Chris and telling Manny, if Liberty's with Chris, what does that say about me? You fucking care about this, Emma? You do these stupid causes and you don't care what people think, but now you basically care about this. It wouldn't affect you at all, Emma. Like, what damage is it going to do to you? And you don't care about what people think. But I think because she glowed up and she thought she was better than Chris, she kind of screwed up. But the fact of the matter is that Emma protecting Rick was because the students were not taking her cause for the domestic violence thing seriously. And she realizes that it's doing more harm than good and calls it off. Everyone freezes her, and she's basically stuck in with the quiz group of Rick, Toby, and Heather St. Clair, soon to be replaced by Jimmy. So basically, it was just those 4 people. And then, of course, Rick had easy access to Emma and was creepy towards her. And then all of a sudden, Emma tells Rick off, saying she pitied him, and then Rick wants to shoot Emma. Of course, Emma kind of gets shunned in a sense after the whole gonorrhea attack. Emma just had a situation she could not control, and she didn't know what to do. She went down to the ravine with Jay and got control over Jay and all that. And then the gonorrhea thing, and basically everyone avoided Emma like the plague. So basically, Emma continued the thing about the students not wanting to be around her. Many of Liberty came around to Emma, I think, because of pity. But you also got to remember about Emma's downfall is that this whole Rick situation is the cause for why Emma decided to go after Peter in season 5. Not to say anything about Sean in season 6, Damien in season 7, or Kelly and Aiden seasons 8 and 9. But the problem was that Emma's problems with losing control because of the Rick situation and her spur of the moment thing is to basically say she went more spur of the moment. And she went with Peter, even though Peter ruined Manny's life. Emma was being more impulsive and all that. I mean, yeah, she was impulsive. Being with Damien in season 7 and Kelly in seasons 8 and 9, she was very impulsive. And let's not forget about her relationship with Manny as a friendship and trying to hang on to Manny as a friend. I think she just wanted to cling on Manny as a friend because she didn't have Manny's support or anyone else's support in a sense. Well, it was Emma's fault. I'm not apologizing for Emma. I stand up for Emma for a few things, but not for her Chris situation. She deserved what she got. But the simple fact is that Emma started becoming more impulsive, and dating Peter definitely would be number 1 on my list. Next up is number 5, or level 50. I call it level 55. Is Raditch failed Rick, but Rick was not straightforward either. So Rick deserves some fault in it. Yes, people blame Raditch for avoiding Rick, saying you have to do a better job to make friends. Come back to me when something serious has happened. But the problem is, I know this is thinking I'm a Raditch apologist. Not completely. But Rick was not straightforward. When you hear Rick talking to Raditch, does he mention the words bullying? Does he present any key evidence to Raditch? No. Excuse me. If he did so, I think Raditch, in his concrete thinking way, would have taken Rick seriously. But with lack of evidence, Raditch basically thinks that Rick is just crying wolf. And I can agree with Raditch and all that. If Rick had the thing about all that. But Raditch could have also said, I'm too busy about it. Just give me proof. If you have proof, I will believe you. And come to me next time with proof. Then I think Raj would have been there. Now the question on my mind is, when Sean tells Jay, Spitter, and Alex after they find out that Rick tagged their cars, saying don't go to Radish because he'll ask about why Rick did this. The question on my mind is, would Radish have believed, helped Jay, Spitter, and Alex? Maybe not. Maybe he was angry towards Rick. Maybe he was angry towards Jay and the crew. Excuse me. Because they're bullies. But the fact of the matter is, Rick was not straightforward either. Radish failed Rick, yes. However, he did not give Rick time to explain himself. And Rick did not explain himself quite well. He never did. So the fact of the matter is that, as bad as Radish failed Rick, Rick failed himself with Radish. He couldn't answer. Okay, so number 6 and level 65, as I call it. Level 65, Spitter being with Jay. It just pisses me off that Spitter would rather have put towards his friendship with Jay than with Jimmy. Spitter was supposed to be this great friend to Jimmy, but no, Jimmy saw that, saying, no, you were never a true friend, because what type of friend would try to trick someone into shooting him? And that's right. Jimmy had it right. Because Spitter, I think, in most ways, his relationship with Jimmy was fractured. I mean, yeah, Spitter and Jimmy were on the same side, and they did dump Rick into that dumpster in Time Stands Still Part 1. But the fact of the matter is that Spitter, I think, in a sense, didn't really care about Jimmy. That's face facts. Spitter and Jay, when they talked to Rick the first time during the tie break for Wacky Brain, waited till Jimmy left the bathroom before they talked to Rick. Because they didn't want Jimmy to hear them trying to bullshit Rick into believing their stuff. And then, of course, doing the painted feathers. The simple fact is that, Spitter was closer to Jay than to Jimmy. I mean, why else would Spitter just basically brag about things to Jimmy, and then they had that little fight? And then Spitter gets coerced by Jay to, pin things on Jimmy. I think they just wanted Jimmy and Rick to stop being friends. They were bitter that Jimmy switched sides. Like, come on, you knew that was coming. Believe it or not. But yet, Spitter showed more loyalty to Jay than to Jimmy. If Spitter showed more loyalty to Jimmy, he would have basically told on himself, maybe Jay, much sooner than the 3 months that it took between Time Stands Still and Eye of the Tiger. Spitter only cared about one thing. His relationship with Jay was just terrible and all that. Spitter did pin Jay for the whole painted feathers thing too, because Jay basically tried to shut up both Spitter and Alex. But the simple fact is, I cannot get past Spitter wanting to be with Jay more than Alex. And let's face facts, Spitter and Jay didn't really break off as friends until season 5 on the 1-year anniversary of Rick's death. And all that. Then Spitter finally blasts Jay, saying, why do I have to be with you and all that? And Jay was unrepentant. Jay had no sympathy towards Spitter, Alex, or anybody. Nobody. At all. Okay. So, anyway, next, number 7. I gotta go reverse here. 7. Okay, so number 7. Whoopsies. Sorry. Yeah. Number 7, or level 70, if you will, is the deleted scenes. So, basically, the 3 deleted scenes would have caused more friction and made things more believable. Excuse me. And Time Stands Still, Part 1. When Marco and Alex say in the episode that they're going to talk to Radish, deleted scene shows that they try to talk to Radish about Rick shouldn't be at the school. And basically, all Radish says is Terry McGregor is at a private school and can't talk about her matters. And then basically said that because he didn't have a criminal charge, he has to let Rick back in. And that's the way it goes. And Alex thinks that it's either for the GPA or the fact that, he's abused his woman. You can't let that. And the GPA. Now you'd be thinking, well, that's kind of stupid. But the fact is, in season 4, the premiere, there was a conversation between Armstrong and Radish that, Radish says that, something about budgeting and all that. I don't have the budget. Maybe if the GPA goes up, then the money goes up. But the fact of the matter is that deleted scene, all that. Maybe Raditch did have his hands tied, but the fact of the matter is that he didn't help the students out at all. And that's why the students did this Orange Ribbon campaign. Mostly because Raditch and the other teachers didn't do a damn thing about it. Deleted scene number 2 is in Time Stands Still Part 2. After Jimmy and Spinner have that literal fight on the basketball court, they're walking together with Craig, and then Rick comes back with his painted feathers on, and Spinner plucks. And then Raditch hears that and says, "You're meeting me at 3:30 for a talk." And then tells Rick to go home. Snake tells Raditch off, saying, "What's that going to do?" And Raditch says, "He can't do any more harm than good if he's not here." And then Raditch, after Snake takes him off one more time, says, "This is not preschool, daycare, excuse me, and making friends is not part of the curriculum." Meaning he's missed the point. And then that kind of is how, Spinner says Raditch knows in the whole thing. Because Spinner says Raditch knows. If you look at the deleted scene, you know what he means by Raditch knows, because now that Raditch wants to talk to him 3:30 for a talk. You don't look at the deleted scene, it's that Spinner now realizes Jimmy's going to probably narc on him, and then Jay tries to help Spinner out. And then deleted scene number 3 was in Back in Black, when the role-playing dice are examined, and Craig talks to Sean about the fact that he saw Jimmy shot. And Sean says, "Our guy died. This is not part of a competition." But yeah, the deleted scenes kind of made things a whole lot different. Okay, number 8. And at a level 80 is Terry's family not pressing charges. It just takes you off. Excuse me. Everybody says Terry should have pressed charges on Rick. Terry's dad should have pressed charges on Rick. Because even if Rick kind of gets off scot-free, he's got something on him, and that might have been a red flag. And the school board probably would have told Raditch, "I don't think you should allow him back at school." But the fact of the matter is that Rick, even if Terry or her dad pressed charges, would have probably got a lawyer. Rick's blissfully ignorant parents probably would have tried to get a good defense, saying that Terry's an unreliable witness because of her coma. And besides, Rick crying crocodile tears about everything helped his parents gain sympathy for him. But the fact of the matter is that I just wish that Terry or her dad did press charges on Rick and all that, because then that might have stopped Rick from coming back from Degrassi and all that. But a lot of people probably say, why didn't Spinner or Paige press charges? It was just basically hearsay, and I think they probably would not have been told completely. I don't know. That just pissed me off. Okay, number 9. Okay, you see a 9? There you go. Number 9 and what I call level 90 is Raditch's aftermath and all that. That ticks me off. A lot of people, Raditch deserved to get booted because of his mistreatment of Rick and all that. But let's not forget that just because Raditch mishandled Rick was not the main reason why he got canned. It was a comedy of errors with this guy. I mean, he made several boo-boos. Massive boo-boo number 1, and will always be number 1, is allowing Rick back at Degrassi in the first place. Yeah, because there was no criminal charges, he couldn't do much. But he could have protected his students, and maybe the students would have calmed down and not been pricks. All that. Especially with the fact that Raditch could have easily said on the video system or an assembly why Rick's back. At least he tells the students that and doesn't hide his true emotions. And yes, he failed Rick and all that, but I said that Rick didn't help himself out. But let's not forget that Raditch let the students down, and that's why they did the Orange Ribbon campaign as a way to get back at Rick, because they were upset that the staff, especially Raditch, didn't do a damn thing. So there's like, if you won't do this, we'll take matters into our own hands. Raditch probably didn't believe them. But let's not forget, too, that the aftermath was also huge for Raditch, why he got canned and all that. Because Raditch had ample opportunity to try to fix the situation. Yes, he wanted a musical to make Degrassi look good because, Degrassi looks bad on the 6 o'clock news, and he's feeling that Degrassi's going to get shunned, and a lot of people are going to ask questions and especially go after him. And he doesn't have the answers and all that. But Raditch could have at least tried to fix the situation. Maybe he was on his way out after the shooting and all that came out. But he could have done himself a lot of favors by helping the students out. So he's ousted, but he helps the students. At least he finishes on a high note instead of the low note we see nowadays. Now, Dan Wood said that basically the plotline was made so that, he could focus on Trump cut rebuild instead of having to fly from California to Toronto every so often. But the fact of the matter is, Raditch could have made himself a hero. But no, he thought of his own terrible self. And I wouldn't put it past Raditch to have avoided Rick's parents or avoided the funeral/visitation because he didn't have the answers. What was he going to tell Rick's parents? And I think that if Raditch was absent from that thing, then I think Raditch would have that would have been more catalyst for Rick's parents to try to get Raditch out. I think Rick's parents had a point to play of Raditch's dismissal. The school board especially. Snake, I think, had something to do with it. And basically, Raditch just ticked off his one true ally. But, Raditch could have done so much better in the aftermath. I think the aftermath was basically worse than him failing Rick and all that. He failed the students. He failed them before and after the Rick situation. That's all. And number 10, or practically level 100, is the thing that pisses me off the most is we are comparing the Rick Murray situation in 2024, the Rick Murray situation to today's date, 2024. 2004 was a long time ago. It was 20 years ago. Things have changed in 20 years. We are thinking about the Rick situation and reacting like it's 2024 normals when it happened in 2004. The standards in 2004 were a whole lot different. Social media was a whole lot different. We didn't have Facebook. We didn't have Twitter. We didn't have Snapchat. We didn't have Tumblr. We had MySpace. We had internet message boards. We didn't have that technology. Imagine what the Rick situation would have been like if Facebook, Twitter, or practically Snapchat were involved. How big it would blow up and how many people around the world would hate on Degrassi and send him maybe death threats. Just saying. But the fact of the matter, guys, is that in 2004, things were different. Schools looked at things a whole lot different, like bullying and mass violence. We don't see the gun violence in school. We didn't see the gun violence in schools in 2004 like we do now in 2024 on both sides of the border, Canada and the US. There's a lot different. Social media. And basically the thoughts of students and the generational thing and all that. And blame and all that. Yes, people get blamed and all that. But we're looking at the Rick Murray situation through a 2024 lens when we could look at it through a 2004 lens and things were different. In 2024, yes, Raditch would never have finished his story. Raditch would have been canned right there, right now. The shooting happened, Raditch would have been gone right off the bat. No chance for redemption, which he could have done, but he screwed up his aftermath. There would have been talk of trying to get every student and punish them to a severely for what they did to Rick. Despite the fact that Rick did shoot and nearly kill Jimmy before going after Emma before Sean shoots him. Maybe there would have been sympathy for Rick. Rick would have got everyone's sympathy if he had just stayed low and not retaliated. He had everyone's sympathy, but he decided to take a gun to the school and try to go after Emma for spurning him. He tried nice guy logic and failed miserably. Let's look at this through 2004 ideals. In 2024, things would have been a whole lot different. The Rick situation would have died before it started by 2024. But this is 2004. They're telling it through a 2004 lens, not a 2024 lens. So anyway, thanks for watching every Rick Murray storyline video to do with the 20th anniversary 2024, October 12th. Be kind to each other, and please, please don't try anything to do with a school shooting, please. Anyway, I'm Jeff Diamond. Thanks for watching. I do.